Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently in the live chat. Recently, there have been people showing up late, which is kind of disappointing, but you know what? We're not all gods, are we? Or goddesses. But never mind, we put that aside for now. We can see to that later. Let me just adjust our camera. It appears your head is slightly tilted. Make sure you're looking straight at the screen so your posture is correct. You're going to do that for me? You're going to be a good individual? Yeah? Okay. So yes, we are covering the Dylan Rounds case today, and we're actually doing a map analysis, tying it on, continuing with Chase Venstra, which we did bring up previously. Okay. I have a few screenshots from one from Pancakes and then another one from Ty Corbin. They are interesting. I will share them with you. Pieces of information which will clear up certain loose ends. Okay. Maybe the odd one that might make you think, what's this all about? Okay. You can share your thoughts and opinions as we do go along. We also have a post from the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page, which is worth reading. Candice Cooley has provided a response which could clear up certain questions people have regarding like Dylan's truck, let's say. So we'll read through that, analyze it if need be, and then do the map analysis after that to map out what this whole video is about, okay? So first, let's move on to these key bits of information shared by Ty Corbin, okay? All right, so this is the first slide, and this is a screenshot from one of my, well, it's not exactly a screenshot, it was taken on my phone at the time, of the live chat of a previous video I did. You can see a few people in the chat there. Shout out to Michelle, Tom Evans, Mini-Me, Indiana, and Mystery Warrior, who's a member on the channel, which is good of them. Mini-Me has been around for a bit. I guess not everyone gets on well with Mini-Me, but it's just one of those things. But as you see in the middle of it, you got Ty Corbin. It was the actual Ty Corbin account. I did check at the time, okay, so I can confirm that to you. And Ty said, "You are misinformed about the first search of mines. Ask Lance. If he saw where anyone was in those mines, he will tell you that no one was in there before him." Now, this is the thing. In terms of relevancy, what is this all about? What mines, right? Are they referring to the Lucin mines or the Montello mines, okay? I assume from memory, okay, if Ty needs to correct it or elaborate on his own words, if I can remember correctly, this was to do in association with Lucin and that volunteer, that supposed volunteer group going out into every mine in Lucin, checking it off and being in contact with Candice Cooley. You remember that? Candice Cooley was one of the first ones to bring it up and highlight that group of volunteers anonymously in one of the past interviews. And really, that's really been the reference point when it comes to, has that been searched? Has that? In the meantime, that period, the likes of Lance and Ty were in Montello searching around and then transitioning onto Bald Eagle Mountain Range. And then here and there dropping by into Lucin, such as the Wash and outer skirts areas away from the, restricted land, private property, okay? But, the odd mine or the odd location has already been searched by Ty and Lance, arguably speaking. So that's why Lance recently brought it up about Ty directing certain people, taking people on certain routes to Lucin and certain mines as not quite helpful, more for clicks, because Lance has already been there himself, right? Aside from that friction, that's just the backstory behind, I guess, this comment. And with Ty saying that I and others are misinformed, it seems as if Candice Cooley has told maybe another lie, possibly. As you saw, it said about the first search of mines. The first search of mines, assuming that's to do with that volunteer group. If one was to ask Lance who else has been in there, he would say no one else. How would Lance know? Well, footprints, right? Markers, rocks, stones moved about, pieces of equipment left behind possibly, that type of stuff. Previously in Montello, Bald Eagle Mountain Range, one of the mines which Lance was exploring in the past, along with Ty Corbin, when they were going up one of these side bits where it was a bit steep, noticed there was some track marks and some footprints in the ground, right? And they remain there. So it seemed like there'd been some activity for whatever reason. And then even one of the other mines which they went into, I don't know if it's the same exact video, might have been a separate one, went in and it went on and on like a tunnel. And you noticed there was was it like blue buckets, water wands, there was like a table, some lights set up, cables, as if people were mining inside or trying to establish something. So that's like acknowledging that there has been activity in there, because Lance went into a place like that beforehand when it was empty or not much was in there, going back again at a later point when suddenly things have been changed, the environment being altered with. And I know a fair bit about that when it comes to the Kenny Beach case, how things can be moved about, and even in such desolate, empty areas, you can still get the odd person present for whatever reason. It might be out of interest, it might be because they want to search themselves, or they want to derail and put other people off searching. You never know. But in this case, assuming it's to do with Lucin, those volunteer group didn't bother going inside. Never existed, supposedly speaking. Is that directly what you mean, Ty Corbin? If you are, say yes. Okay. I mean, genuinely, it wouldn't be a surprise if Candice Cooley made it up. But if it was a lie, then it makes it very suspicious in the sense that she's directing all the attention and focus to, let's say, the wash or a wash, and saying that another type of environment, location, has been already searched, so there's no need to go back there, when in actual fact, supposedly speaking, it's never been searched. It's like, why are you telling people then that people have gone in and checked and it cleared it off? No Dylan in there. It makes you think that, is she hiding something? Is she hiding a location or type of location in which Dylan is at? Makes you think, right? We'll do a poll right now. This is a conditional poll, right? So, under the assumption that this volunteer mining group, exploration one, never existed, do you feel Candice Cooley was lying, making that lie that they have been searched, because she knows where Dylan is at? Yes or no? Leave a vote right now. A little bit dodgy, right? So, with that being the case, I can understand why Lance Ty would go back out there. I mean, I'll just throw one point in. Is there a little bit of a contradiction that they said they're going back to places that have already been searched, but they're doing a double check just to make sure nothing's been missed? But if they're saying that no one else has been there before, then how can you be double checking something if it's never been searched in the first place? Yeah. But there may be, and most likely, obviously, some locations, some mines and mine shafts which have been searched by Lance and Ty, as Lance has explained in his post and comment section. But most likely there are other mines and mine shafts out there they've not got round to, but they are going to. I can understand it from that point of view, right? So I think that clears that part up, all right? Reinforces why there needs to be a presence out there in Lucin. It makes you think that when Candice Cooley, if she was lying about this volunteer group, also lied about that supposed volunteer group, saying they couldn't check two mine shafts because they were filled in or caved in or something. Maybe that is the case. Maybe it's an indirect, subconscious hint saying that's where Dylan's at and it's filled in because Dylan's on the other side. You don't want to just walk on in and find Dylan, right? Try and make it look like some kind of accident. I don't know. You see how you can start wandering off into the darkness of thoughts, but just one of those things. If there's lack of clarity or there's contradictions, changes in info or behaviour, you can't help but think, right? Let's move on to the next slide, this one here. Now this one was a bit more of a recent video I did when we were taking a look at some numerous stuff, including that pivot. The pivot which appeared to be Dylan's from the looks of it. And we will do a comparison in a second, don't worry. But it was this comment that was a bit weird. By Pancakes once again. Bear in mind, this was a video before Pancakes had his little meltdown, okay? Sometimes you might notice over the course of days, a change in behaviour, a certain pattern being established. Some people suddenly start acting cryptic and more cryptic, and then next day, boom, something happens, right? As for this language, I mean, not to get too deep, it's either a bit of a piss take, just messing around, joking, or it's attempting to be cryptic. One or the other. You can interpret it however you want. I'll read it to you then. So Salty Pancakes responded to that pivot and where those trailers were located when I assumed that they could have been Dylan's. And Pancakes said, interesting, ? I almost have to be quiet because you have the wrong farm. Laughing emojis. Now, how do I respond to this? As for Dylan's farm, I am aware where it's located, as I have previously covered it. Okay? As for the grain shed, property which Dylan does not own but has used, I'm aware where that's located. Though as for the pivot in which Dylan has visited, right, from time to time, place where water can be distributed, I believe, nearby, where other farmers are welcomed over and their cattle. A key location where that TikTok video was made by Dylan, right? I'm not saying that's his farm. Didn't say that in the video. Pancakes, you need to reassess and reanalyze the language I used. I said, is this a possibility that this is where Dylan was staying at, where his trailers were stationed at, not on his farm, but on the site, on land of a pivot? I didn't say Dylan directly owned the pivot. I suggested that, is this his? Not that this is it. Okay, you understand the language? Yeah? Okay. I was only merely hinting at it. With Pancakes actually going out there himself, right? He's going to know what's what, visually speaking, and in terms of thought process, right? So he could be thinking, oh my God, how could you get that wrong? It's so hard to hold this laughter in of how stupid you are, Raf, how you can't seem to identify what's what, despite all these months of consecutively making videos, and yet you're making rookie errors like this. That's a possibility of what's going on in Pancake's mindset when he tried typing this comment out, right? Something what most humans shall do if they don't quite understand the video, the meaning, the depth of it, or just simply the wording within the content, right? So, since that's out the way, I think we'll just move on to the Google Earth once again, because I just want to do a quick comparison, okay? And we can compare it to both aerial satellite imagery, comparing it to a photo taken by Candice Cooley, which has some similarities, and the original TikTok video, though it will be a screenshot because TikTok won't allow you to mute the music when playing the video, right? And we don't want copyright. Definitely not. Let's head on over. Okay, so here we are. We can take that little marker off. We're in Lucen now. You see the pivot over here, the pivot which is circular, which also has, there'll be different terms for it. The pivot, the arm that goes all the way across and is on wheels, which moves around and rotates that whole radius, sprinkling water, I assume, right? You can see the circles, inner circles all the way around. And I was assuming that either it was Dylan's pivot possibly, or just Dylan was on site staying here. Hence why the two trailers were there, which do look similar, characteristically speaking, compared to the ones found at his farm, okay? We just zoom out. I am aware that the grain shed, which is not owned by Dylan, is here, okay? And we just zoom out for a second. Sun tunnel's there, go right. And I'm also aware that Dylan's farm is in this area, right? And that's his little pond. And nearby would have been his two trailers and several vehicles, trailers and stuff like that, right? But this is 2019 imagery and there's no sight of any of that. No vehicles, no trailers. So that's why I suggested that maybe Dylan was stationed here, because you can see the odd tractor, trailers and places of living stationed here. So all this eventually was moved down 5 miles east, yeah, of the grain shed. Do you agree with that? Or possibility? Because, who else is it? This could well be another farmhand, another farmer, landowner, possibly. The way it's been described by Candice Cooley, there's only like 3-4 people out there, like Don, Jim Brenner, Dylan, Ivor Zadovsky, and some other guy, and that's about it. So, you got to take in mind, this is 2019, so the people could have switched around. Some people could have come, gone, stayed, left, whatever. But that was just my point at the time, right? And we're looking at this area, right, this section. Can I do a side-by-side comparison? I don't think I can, because I don't think I can fit it all on the screen. But I guess there is no harm in trying, right? Let's just do that. So here's a side-by-side comparison. On the left, satellite imagery of 2019, looking down at the ground on Lucen. And then on the right-hand side, you got a photo taken by Candice Cooley in recent time of 2022. When out there just, looking about, coinciding, I think, with the big push search for Dylan before winter time, right? So obviously there is a difference visually speaking. One's satellite imagery, the other one's boots on ground. Though in terms of the terrain and colouring, they do look similar. On the left, it looks rough, grainy, sandy, brown. And on the right, the exact same. It's to be expected. It's in a desert. It's in Lucen. But can you say the one on the left is exactly the one on the right? I'd say so. Partially because I've not really seen many other pivots in the area when looking, aside from some of the more developed ones, which are obviously owned by other people, right? But yeah, that's just how it is to me. The main thing that stood out to me, and take in mind that the actual pivot itself has moved. It's not in the same exact position. You wouldn't expect it to be. From 2019 to 2022, it would have rotated at different points, right? Because that's what it's intended to be used for. But you see this on the right. Looks like a little puddle, patchiness where it's wet, right? You can see that, can't you? Is it leakage from the pivot itself as it moves around? Possibly. Someone did leave a comment recently saying that there was work that needed to be done at the pivot, as the main line, the pivot, the the pipes, I'm not quite sure exactly what precisely, was leaking water and it needed to be resolved. Was it ever resolved? I don't think so, because as you see on screen, 2022, very recent, by Candice Cooley, there appears to be a leak. And you do look around, it's dry. It doesn't look like it's rained in recent time. So why would just a puddle be there? Not that deep. Surely it would have dried up. If ponds can dry up in the area due to the heat, then definitely a puddle can quickly. But if this just happened on the day or nearby as it dripped, right, or came up through the ground, however, whichever way round it was, it's wet. And how can that be compared to the one on the left imagery? Well, we just try and zoom in here. Bit blurry, but in the middle, you see the center point, and then that black line going off to the left. That's the pivot as it rotates round. But low down here, look. That looks similar to this, doesn't it? The shape, the size, the colouring. I'll just zoom out and you just look yourself left and right and focus in on that puddle, the wet patch, the damp patch, right? This here, where it looks like there's a leak. There's water's collecting on the ground. Looks similar to that. So, there you go. I assume it's the same spot, right? The same spot. And speaking of which, in terms of this pivot, more to do with the right-hand photo taken by Candice Cooley. Move on to the next photo, is a one recorded by Dylan Rounds, his actual TikTok account, right? His actual TikTok account. The pivot, as you can see, assume the sunset, ground, you see how it looks quite wet. Well, it's bound to be because of above. That's its intended purpose, right? So if Dylan's present here, watching it, observing it, then this is all the same spot. So when Pancakes was wording it in that way, saying it was not Dan's farm, it's not this, it's not that, well, not exactly, but yeah, this is where Dylan has been present, right? And just in chat right now, if you feel the need to correct me, right? Bear in mind, I can take so much information in at times. I assume that this pivot is owned by Dylan Rounds. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because I don't really see many other farms directly in the area. There's all kinds of land owned by different people, but those different people are not present nor living on the land. So they're not going to be maintaining it quite the same as someone like Dylan would, I guess. Because although Dylan didn't live at his farm, didn't live near the grain shed, didn't live there full time, he stopped on over here and there. And when he had to do farm work, he's visited the place more than the other landowners have, right? Just to put that into perspective. So, just wanted to do that little comparison because I don't think anyone's really done that before, and share with you the characteristics and the fact that it looks like certain issues, like that leak from the looks of it, were never resolved from 2019 to 2022, unless a new problem popped up, another leak maybe. So let's move on to the next bit of info provided by Ty Corbin, in which I can then proceed on with the map analysis, okay? So in my last video, I did bring up Chase Venstra's name, and I was asking originally the arrest on Chase Venstra to do with those gun charges. Where was Chase Venstra arrested? Where did it go down? And Ty Corbin responded saying, Warlike Ref, the search and arrest took place in Plain City, Utah, at Chase Venstra's father's property. Okay, that's interesting. Now, shout out to Ty Corbin for providing this info. Appreciate it. It may have well have gone around in the past, but it may have also been forgotten about too by some people. No harm in bringing it back up. This is what I mean. This, once again, is a good example, demonstration of you covered a case, you cause noise, you raise certain questions, issues, whatever it may be, and then the right people with the correct resources or knowledge can step on in and clear up any loose ends or remove any BS, etc. And this does help, right? So, as you see, it says the search and arrest, Plain City, father's property. Keywords that. I think what we should do now, not directly look at the location, because I don't have the person's address, right? But we can take a look at Plain City and see what it looks like visually speaking. Right, so here we are. You can see Plain City there, highlighted, the outline in red. We'll just zoom on out so you get an idea of exactly where it's at. There you go. So you've got Salt Lake City down here. You've got Ogden here. Clinton is down here. And Plain City is located here. Now they are, respectively, close to one another. Snowville further up north. It makes sense. If Chase Venstra's father is within this area, living, Chase Venstra's father, Chase Venstra himself, present in the areas scattered about, as stated before, it just all makes sense. You know, familiar with the area, childhood there possibly, and just getting used to visiting certain chains and like food places. So that all ties in with one another. I can understand that. As for distance from Lucim, this is a very, very rough one, okay? So we're saying something like that. If we just did it very rough, and literally it is like 80 miles up there, down there. You could round it up to about 100 miles maybe, depending which route you took, okay? I did hear that, and yeah, makes you think, well, what, you actually paid attention? I did listen into some video with Kurt Wadsworth or something. It might have been the Shack Ladies live stream, kind of recent, I guess, or it might have been on Pancakes. I don't really know, but Kurt was speaking and he said that there's a certain route you can take which goes parallel to railroad tracks, and you can get to Snowville, I think, in a short space of time, like 40 miles. And I'm like, yeah, but where's the start point? Start point to Snowville. Like, we zoom in here. We'll return back to Plain City in a second. Zoom in here, just make sure I've got the correct area. Right. Which railroad tracks? These? This one? Or does he mean the other ones? Where are the other ones? Is it? No, it's not that one. There is 2 lots of tracks, basically. That's the main highway. I'll just base it off these, this railroad, this one here. What, so you're saying something like near to the wash? Like how far away are you referring to, Kurt? To Snowville. So this railway track goes all the way across that dried up lake and also across the Great Salt Lake, which is filled with water. Where is Snowville? Snowville's up here. Even if you point the marker diagonal, do you know if you literally just skipped across like that? It's like 70 plus miles. So I don't know what Kurt was referring to when he said if you go across this shortcut on near to the tracks, you can get to Snowville in 40 miles or so. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case here. It seems to be a greater number in distance. But then again, he didn't quite exactly say his starting point. If any of you know, just feel to chip in if you need to. But it doesn't surprise me anyway if it was a little bit of misinformation or a bit of bollocks, right? Because Kurt seems to be, at times, supposedly full of bollocks. Maybe it's all the pigs he's tended to with time, possibly. But yeah. Let's come back up here. Okay. There we go. And what we'll do is we'll check out just the images, very roughly speaking, first of all. See if it's got anything to do with relevance or not. You know, some odd coincidences can happen. So these are just like general photos of the area, right? Plain City. You got this house there in the process of being built. Is there any bricks or is it just like hardboard? I think American houses are built different compared to houses in the UK. In the UK, people use bricks, right? And I guess the walls are better quality than the US because I've seen many fail videos on YouTube where American people have punched or run through a wall and created a big dent or a big hole, but it doesn't seem to be like that as much in the UK. Though, as a negative, when it does come to summertime and it gets extremely hot here in the UK, because it's not all year round, so the bodies do not adapt or get used to it in that space of time, the buildings tend to hold the heat, so it's kind of shit, right? But less of that. There's the first image. What a piss take, mate. Fucking one of one. Looks like we'll be taking a direct route with him. Plain City. Like, where exactly would thingy be at? I mean, it's like a neighbourhood. You got rows of houses, right? We'll just go straight down the middle. The main thing is just the info itself saying where, like the name of the place where Venstra was arrested and where the search took place at the father's. So the father was assisting in storing the guns, right? So there you go. An example of what it looks like the area. A couple of trailers, some big ones back there, an RV. Yeah. You won't spend too long. Got some random person walking. Didn't they say in America if you just like walking along, you could get pulled over by the police or something because they think, what's going wrong with you? I don't know. Oh, we've time travelled now into the sunshine. Isn't that great? One of those things where we're in these different like little communities, the houses, visually speaking, they do look kind of similar to one another. Can we go down here? Oh, we keep seeing those, don't we? Keep seeing them, and it keeps reminding me of maybe Kurt Wadsworth's in a way. Speaking of, not Kurt, but as for other individuals, you remember Ellenberg, right? Ellenberg, if you're watching right now, good. Not exactly that important, but that individual, I forgot what they're called. That's a good start. Some individual that called you out for not having any teeth or something did say they apologised, that they might have been a bit drunk at the time. Then again, if you start drinking Linda's whole wine collection, what do you fucking expect? Poor Linda. Poor Linda. What's she going to do now? She's got to rely on tea and water. That's not how it should be. You start a GoFundMe for Linda. Fill the rum, more fun. Now that's out the way. One thing to state towards everyone that's currently watching, even possibly the little mice and rats in the corners, cracks and gaps, is that as far as Ellenberg goes, she does not participate in the live chats, but from time to time she does watch the videos, which is good of her. And she said she does like the style of them, so that's good to hear. Just wanted to let you know, because from time to time we have seen Ellenberg accounts pop up in the live chat. And up to now, just about all of them have been fake, okay? Someone did bring up a point saying it was a bit of a coincidence how when the fake Ellenberg account was dealt with, Salty Pancakes showed up the following day. I mean, yeah, you could say it's a bit of a coincidence that we have noticed several coincidences in the case. You can't help but think at times, right, and question. But yeah, as for Ellenberg, the real Ellenberg, she does watch these videos and she might be present right now in this live video premiere, but she's not commenting, okay? Though sometimes she does leave comments in the comment section, right? You would have seen it yourself, okay? So her behaviour is kind of similar to mine, in which may show up on somebody else's video in the comment section where you can view the profile, but not participating in the live chat. So as you can understand with my circumstance, you can apply that to the real Ellenberg, okay? And at some point, Ellenberg might show up again. She said something about creating a new account or so, but more details of that can be explained at a later point, okay? Just to clear up any confusion. If people do see another Ellenberg account and then it's a new one, then people think, oh, is that fake or not? It can be dealt with in time, so don't worry, okay? So with that out the way, and with looking at this location, right? One interesting point to bring up. If the arrest was done and the search at Chase Venstra's father's house, where the guns most likely were held at as well, most likely means that Chase Venstra's father was in on it as well, so defending him, I guess. The question I have, oh my God, this has gone a bit old. The question I have is, okay, so Chase Venstra was arrested, gone to Davis County Jail, right, with time in custody. What happened to the father? Was the father arrested for aiding and abetting with Venstra because he was in on it? Or did he just get a caution? What happened to the father of Chase Venstra? If anyone knows, feel free to answer it in the comment section down below. It'll be appreciated, right? Because it ties on to the next point in question. If the father was aware what Chase Venstra was doing and previous activity in the past, yes, it's family, looking out for one another, loyalty, care, respect, and all of that. Sure, I get that. But if that's the case, when it comes down to criminal activity, is there a possibility that Chase Venstra's family overall have also participated from time to time when it comes to criminal acts? You know, possibly the Dylan Rounds disappearance. If Chase Venstra is, although, you know, put aside the alibis and CCTV footage, you know, the little blanks in between, if you associate Chase Venstra within the case somehow, do the parents get dragged in? External family members? Did they assist as well in disposing of Dylan or taking him out? Some of you might be wondering, why? How? Well, we saw it with this house arrest and this warrant at the father's, where Chase Venstra was present, I guess. So, family covering for family, right? In on it. You can't help but think, okay? And coincidence how we just get to this point here, and then there's a bloody police car parked up. Perry, something, 911. Is that an actual police car? SUV or not? Pumpkins there. What's this building here? America First, 24 hours, ATM. What ATM? What, the transaction thing, or ATM meaning at the moment? Must be a bank of some sort. Got the American flag. Pumpkins. Quite a few pumpkins. Isn't it weird and how coincidental how when we've taken a look at these locations, bear in mind that the imagery and street view footage is limited because it's not all year round or up to date, right? And yet these locations we've checked out had been near to like Halloween previously or Christmas upcoming, and it's captured that season, that event, but years ago. Kind of weird timing how we've come across it, but there you go. Open field there on the left. Quite empty there. Oh. Trampoline, some dodgy tent, abandoned tyres. Yeah, looks a bit rough. What's on this side? I can't quite make that out over there. Is that baseball? There's a basketball court. I think it's just like casual, right? Little park with all the trees. Looks all right. Okay. So I think what we can do now is move back to the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page and read that post out and response by Candice Cooley. Okay. Right, so this is the post on the Facebook page 4 days ago by Kimberly Dunbar. We'll read that out, see what she has to say, and then a response by Candice Cooley. Kimberly says, I feel so sad that the cops in Utah aren't really helping the parents find their child. I realise he's not really a child, but still, when someone goes missing, they are supposed to be looking for him, investigating, and not ignoring the parents. I'm sorry the parents have had to work so hard to find their son, but I'm glad Heavy D is helping them. This post is recent, but kind of old information, but maybe they've just caught up with certain stuff, maybe, possibly. She also says, all I can offer is prayer that you'll find him soon. I don't like how a key fob and a gun go missing and then turn up later on. As far the tracks that Candice was talking about go to where you see the car tyres and make plaster casting of the tracks, then you can have someone compare the tyres from Dylan's truck tyres to them and other ones. Do it on a sunny day, put up a wall around some of the tracks and then pour in some plaster casting material, wait until dry for Dylan's truck, get some ink and put it on the tyre and get some long paper and run over the paper to leave the tyre tracks on the paper. I hope soon you get the answers you want. Hugs. So, I guess that's one way of doing it, right? Even when it's come to Bigfoot and people have found big prints in the woods, they've used some kind of like plaster, casted, it's set, pulled it out, and it revealed the sheer size of it and the print as well. So, possibility. But let's just check the responses if possible. Will it let me? Okay. There we go. Candice Cooley responds and says, the Idaho State Police have Dylan's pickup. The tracks were too destroyed by weather when LE finally went out in October with us. There's not enough to do a tyre casting. Okay, interesting. Now, as for this information specifically, I didn't really know of. Did any of you? So the Idaho State Police have Dylan's pickup, I assume, right now. I do remember previously in the past when Candice Cooley did do a Facebook post saying how certain items were going to be reanalyzed and assessed just to make sure there's nothing missed. So I guess this could tie in line with it. But Idaho State Police have it instead of Box Elder County Sheriff's Office. I guess that's a positive, right? But I think I think it's in the right hands. And I guess it's been held on to because of the whole case, right? It's still ongoing, it's still pending, so they've just got to keep hold of it, store it somewhere so no evidence is ruined, I guess. I guess after the case, let's say justice is served, what do you think, aside from the grain shed and the actual farm pivot, what do you think happens to Dylan's truck? Does it get taken to the scrap yard? Does it get salvaged and maybe a little piece of memorabilia to remember Dylan, honour him in some way, a bit of his truck in the shape of a piece of artwork maybe? Or does like Justin Candice take it home with them and just keep it on the driveway or garage somewhere to store as like memory of him? I'm not too sure. Let me know your thoughts down below. But yeah, I guess once again, it's just showing incompetence by the LE, supposedly, that they were too late, that the weather messed it all up. And they were saying that there was not enough track, there's not enough to do a tie casting. So I guess what they basically mean is there was some like tracks remaining but not enough, or it was incomplete, so it wouldn't be that possible to do. But I guess in recent time, Candice Cooley did say about matching the serial number of Dylan's truck to another to confirm something. And I know in recent time, because you've got to take in mind, there seems to be different track marks once in the wash, which look like excavator ones, which Mob Crew Chris picked up on with the drone footage. Down the line, that was resolved. Those track marks were caused by search and rescue with their equipment, okay? But then there are track marks in Montello, Nevada at Jim Brenner's burnt down trailer just after Lance and Kimber went down themselves. And 2 days before the police went down to investigate as well, Lance revisited before that and found track marks which were never identified. Who was responsible for that? I might even do a singular video on that just to start a discussion. I think I will, just a brief one. You remember those little mini videos, right? Focusing on a key unanswered question. I'll probably give that a try. Did I do it with the crutch though? I can't remember if I did it with the crutch. I'll have to check back on that one. Any other track marks? Some track marks in the wash elsewhere in which they're supposedly Dylan Rounds, supposedly confirmed by Candice Cooley in one of the recent interviews. And then there's other track marks elsewhere which are still a mystery. So it's a little bit messy, right? And you could say, so what? Do the track marks really matter? Yes. Because the track marks, if they're in a certain direction, reaching a certain point, if they turned out to be Dylan's tracks, then that's likely where the suspect took Dylan to dispose of. And then you got an area, a radius to check out and investigate and dig up, possibly. And whilst there are other track marks present, you need to clear them up too. It's important. So there's no confusion. So you can tick it off the list and know who's caused what. And this is the other thing, and it's hard to prevent. Once you get there, it's kind of like a crime scene, right? But it wasn't officially treated as one. You got these track marks here and there. You're trying to come to a conclusion, whose is who? Are they recent or in the past? And who do they belong to, i.e. the vehicle? And can you estimate the timing and date of when it likely occurred? But whilst you got people visiting, coming and going, search and rescue, police, parents, etc., with time, inevitably there will be track marks, new ones created. So isn't it a little bit difficult, like returning back and then knowing which are old track marks and which are new track marks? Does that ever get confusing? I mean, if under the perfect circumstances that the LE were not incompetent, but they did not delay it, and they went down as soon as possible, that they were able to do some kind of casting with the tyres. Then they could maybe get stronger evidence to find a new lead. Maybe it could have led on to finding Dylan or making more progress quicker than it being dragged out. And then you would have checked it off the list, and then additional tyre track marks at a later point may have not been as confusing. I'll do another poll right now. Do you agree that if this tyre casting of these tracks, wherever they may be, if they were done immediately and successfully, do you think it could have led on to a new lead? More progression? Yes? No? A little? Make sure to vote right now. Any other points mentioned? Janie said, Candice Cooley, maybe they got some fingerprints. Anne Marie said, Candice, did people take photos of these tracks? If so, they can measure it in some way. Maybe, I'm sure I've seen this done on investigation programs. Anyway, just a thought. Take care. Sherry said, Candice Cooley, you would think by now they know that they have the right guy. Do what is it with this? Oh my God. I don't know if it's American people. I don't know if it's me transitioning into an American, so I'm malfunctioning in between, but I can't seem to coherently read other people's text at times. I think, it's not as bad as Joy Perry's, not as bad as Grandma Bear on the damn Dylan Rounds forum, but you get what I'm saying. Let's try and say it again. Candice Cooley. You'd think by now that they know that they have the right guy. Do what is really going on with the Bucks County is the job that much that they can't even handle it. Why can they just let someone else take over for once? They say that looking at this case with new eyes sometimes helps. I don't know why it's so hard to just bring Dylan home. As a parent myself, I'd want to go pistol on the police department. What? What, are you going to shoot up the police department? I don't think that's a good idea. And they wonder why some really do. Come on now, let's not let this poor family suffer anymore. They have been there enough. How much more do you think they can take? Because as I see it, Candice looks like she just about had enough with you, y'all. And she, to me, looked like she got to go ape. Sorry, on someone fast. I know I would have long noodles ago. Just would like to say too that you're in my prayers, but then I would be lying to you, as I really don't pray as much as I should have, but I don't till you leave. So I will say, I wish y'all the luck in me to you, and bring home this holiday, please. My God. Joy Perry. Oh, Joy Perry, can you please guide this person towards the light of coherent language? Pretty please. I'm not asking for much. Colt said, we don't know what the cops are doing. They can't come out and say what they are doing without destroying the case. They're doing more than we see. You never know. True. Holly Jackson, cops in Utah wouldn't last in Vegas. Is that so? Is that because of all the crime in Vegas? It's more intense, or it's stricter, higher standards? I don't know. Debbie says, did anything come up with the drones? Janie says, I'm thinking the police are keeping their information close to their vest. As the saying goes, can't let anything leak because it could ruin their case. October? Come on, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, 5 months. And what's this one? This is the old... Yeah, we've seen this one before. Okay. So you get the idea. I hope what was presented before was of some use to you, may have answered some of your questions or pre-existing ones. I guess we will see what happens next. I still have that unexplored map analysis video to do, though this one was just as important as it fell in line with my previous one. That's why there needs to be some kind of order and some kind of structure. As for the last video, was there too many rats present in the chat? not from what I can remember, just people turning up late. As to answer some questions here and there, which people will refer to, Joseph wants to know what's under the bed. I have already explained and demonstrated. I will show it now. I have a strong sense that Joseph will not be present to view this, but Joseph, get your arse on over to watch, okay? And then your whole mystery of what's under the bed will be fully explained. So let me take you down below, okay? It looks a bit weird, it's because I'm pulling it towards my lap, but it's the only way to do it, to point down at the ground, okay? Yeah, you want to take a look down here. Yeah, don't worry, there's not going to be any weird, creepy surprises or shocks. No, we can't have that. So, let me just point this very close to me. I don't even know if I can do this because of the camera and shit. I'll have to do it at an angle. Can you see it? It's a little gap. It's not much. Let me angle it the other way. Hold on. There you go. Peekaboo. What do you see? Can you see anything of interest? Yes? No? Okay, so I'll just pull him out. There you go. So, where is he? I can't find the camera. See, that's the only thing that can fit under the bed. Okay, Stormtrooper. There you go. Maybe the Ewok can, and the Ewoks can visit as well. So you just admire the view, Joseph. You might as well whilst you're here. Take it all in. You know, is it cinematic? Does it look good? Yeah. Yeah. It'd be very unfortunate though, wouldn't it, if something just appeared? Do you see anything? Anything present? I don't know. Can you hear that sound? I don't know if you can. I wonder what it could be crawling under. Do you see what I see? Let me know. Yes. So I don't think there is much else left to say, but thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time for the next video. Goodbye.